Imagine a world where your computer feels like it has just been reborn, where everything loads faster, everything responds instantly, and the system quietly adapts to you instead of forcing you to adapt to it. That is exactly the kind of energy people are talking about with Fedora 44. This isn't just another routine Linux update that tech enthusiasts casually install and forget about. This is something that feels different from the moment you boot it up. Something that feels like a shift in direction, not just an upgrade. And if you're watching this on your phone right now, maybe scrolling through tech news, maybe curious about Linux, or maybe just tired of slow, bloated operating systems, then what you're about to hear might completely change how you look at your digital life. Fedora has always had a reputation for being on the cutting edge, but Fedora 44 takes that identity and pushes it further into a territory where performance, intelligence, and simplicity all meet in one place. The moment you install it, you can feel that it is not trying to be flashy or overwhelming. Instead, it is designed with precision. It is like a sports car that doesn't need loud stickers or unnecessary features to prove its speed. It just performs quietly, efficiently, powerfully. One of the first things users notice with Fedora 44 is how fast everything feels. Boot times are significantly reduced, and that alone already sets the tone. When your operating system starts almost instantly, it changes your relationship with your machine. You stop waiting and start working. Applications open quicker, system animations feel smoother, and even multitasking becomes something that doesn't feel like a struggle anymore. It is not just raw speed either, it is optimized responsiveness. That means even when the system is under load, it still feels stable, controlled, and predictable. But speed is only the beginning. What really makes Fedora 44 feel like a major shift is how it handles resources. Modern operating systems often struggle with efficiency because they are packed with background processes, telemetry systems, and unnecessary services that drain memory and CPU usage. Fedora 44 takes a more refined approach. It trims the fat while keeping the essential power intact. The result is a system that feels lighter even on older hardware, but still capable enough for developers, creators, and power users who demand high performance. There is also a noticeable improvement in power management, especially for laptop users. If you are watching this on a phone, but you usually use a laptop for work or study, this part matters a lot. Fedora 44 has become smarter in how it balances performance and battery life. Instead of constantly pushing your CPU to high power states, it adjusts dynamically based on your actual usage. That means if you are just browsing, reading, or coding lightly, your system conserves energy. But the moment you launch a heavier task like compiling code, rendering graphics, or running virtual machines, it immediately adapts and gives you full power without hesitation. This kind of intelligence is what makes Fedora 44 feel less like a traditional operating system and more like a responsive partner. It learns the rhythm of your usage. It doesn't interrupt you. It doesn't slow you down unnecessarily. It just quietly supports what you are doing in the background. Another major evolution in Fedora 44 is its desktop experience. GNOME, which is the default environment for Fedora, feels more polished and cohesive than ever. The animations are smoother, the interface is cleaner, and navigation feels more natural. There is a sense of flow that didn't feel this refined in earlier versions. Everything from opening the application menu to switching between workspaces feels intentional and fluid. Even small details make a big difference. Window transitions are more refined, touchpad gestures feel more responsive, and multi-monitor setups behave more consistently. If you have ever struggled with Linux desktop environments feeling slightly fragmented or inconsistent, Fedora 44 is actively working to erase that impression. It is not perfect yet, but it is getting dangerously close to the kind of polish you usually expect from commercial operating systems. Security is another area where Fedora 44 quietly shines. Instead of treating security as an afterthought, it is built deeply into the system architecture. SE Linux, which Fedora is known for, continues to operate in a strong but less intrusive way. Most users will never even notice it, and that is the point. It protects your system without constantly interrupting your workflow. On top of that, Fedora 44 includes updated encryption standards, improved sandboxing for applications, and better isolation between system components. In today's digital world, where privacy breaches and data leaks are becoming more common, having a system that respects your privacy by design is more important than ever. Fedora does not try to collect unnecessary user data, and that philosophy remains strong in version 44. This makes it especially appealing to developers, privacy-conscious users, and anyone who is tired of operating systems that feel like they are constantly observing behavior in the background. Now let's talk about software management, because this is another area where Fedora 44 feels significantly improved. The package management system, powered by DNF and Flatpak integration, feels smoother and more reliable. Installing applications is straightforward, and dependency issues that once frustrated users are becoming less common. Flatpak in particular has matured into a powerful ecosystem, allowing users to install modern applications without worrying about system conflicts. This is important because one of the biggest barriers for new users entering Linux has always been software availability and installation complexity. Fedora 44 reduces that friction. It doesn't eliminate it entirely because Linux still values user control and transparency, but it makes the experience far more approachable than it used to be. Developers, in particular, will find Fedora 44 extremely appealing. It comes with updated toolchains, programming languages, compilers, and development libraries. Whether you are working in Python, C++, Rust, JavaScript, or system-level programming, Fedora 44 provides a clean, modern environment to build in. It is often one of the first distributions to adopt new technologies, which means developers are not stuck waiting for outdated packages. This forward-looking approach is one of the reasons Fedora is often considered a testing ground for innovations that later make their way into other distributions. But calling it just a testing ground feels unfair at this point. Fedora 44 feels stable enough for daily use while still being innovative enough to stay ahead of the curve. Gaming on Linux has also been improving over the years, and Fedora 44 contributes to that progress. With better GPU driver support, improved compatibility layers like Proton, and smoother Vulkan performance, gaming is no longer something that feels like an experiment on Linux. While it still may not fully replace Windows for every gamer, the gap is narrowing significantly. Many users are reporting smoother performance in certain titles, especially when compared to older Linux setups. Another interesting aspect of Fedora 44 is how it handles updates. System updates are more streamlined, less disruptive, and designed to integrate into your workflow instead of interrupting it. You are not constantly forced into long update cycles that break your focus. Instead, updates happen more gracefully in the background, and reboots are minimized where possible. This kind of design philosophy reflects a deeper understanding of user behavior. People don't want their operating system to constantly demand attention. They want it to just work reliably and quietly while they focus on their tasks. Fedora 44 embraces that idea more fully than previous versions. There is also a growing sense of consistency across the entire system. Fonts render more cleanly, UI elements feel aligned, and even third-party applications tend to blend better with the system theme. These might sound like small details, but when combined, they create a sense of polish that significantly improves daily usability. For users coming from Windows or macOS, Fedora 44 can feel both familiar and different at the same time. Familiar in the sense that basic computing tasks are easy to learn, but different in how much control and transparency you are given. You are not locked into an ecosystem. You are not forced into specific account integrations or cloud dependencies. You are in control of your machine in a way that modern mainstream operating systems rarely allow anymore. Of course, Fedora 44 is not without challenges. Linux in general still requires a bit of learning, especially for users who are completely new to it. Some software may require alternative installation methods, and hardware compatibility can still vary depending on the device. But the important thing is that the direction is clearly forward. Each release reduces friction, improves usability, and expands compatibility. What makes Fedora 44 particularly exciting is not just what it is today, but what it represents. It represents a future where Linux is not just for developers or enthusiasts, but for everyday users who just want a fast, reliable, and respectful computing experience. It represents a shift away from heavy, resource-draining systems towards something leaner and smarter. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, Fedora 44 is part of a larger movement in the tech world. People are becoming more aware of performance, privacy, and control. They are questioning why operating systems need to be so heavy. They are asking why their devices slow down over time. And Fedora 44 answers many of those questions, not with marketing, but with design choices. Even on older hardware, Fedora 44 can breathe new life into machines that might otherwise be considered outdated. That alone makes it incredibly valuable. Instead of throwing away perfectly usable devices, users can install a lightweight yet powerful system that makes them feel modern again, and that feeling matters. Because technology should not make you feel restricted or frustrated. It should feel like an extension of your thinking. Fedora 44 gets closer to that ideal than many systems before it. So when people say, Fedora 44 is here, the Linux upgrade that changes everything, it is not just hype. It is a reflection of real improvements across performance, usability, design, security, and developer experience. It is not perfect, but it is evolving in a direction that feels intentional and meaningful. And maybe that is the most important part. Not just that it is faster or smarter or more powerful, but that it feels like it is being built with a clear vision of what modern computing should be. A system that respects your time. A system that respects your hardware. A system that respects your control. And as you sit there watching this on your phone, thinking about whether Linux is worth trying or whether Fedora 44 is just another update in a long list of releases, the real question becomes simpler. Do you want a system that works against you with bloat and restrictions? Or do you want a system that quietly works with you, adapts to you, and gives you back control of your machine? Fedora 44 is making a strong case for the second option.